entrepreneur with established businesses in law, real estate, believe it or not, cannabis. I was actually out here to speak at Trump's 420 2020 panel about cannabis regulations. And so I've been a community advocate. I was a veteran. I served in the Air National Guard. My father, a colonel in the Marine Corps, tells me that does not count. I only gave him and his Army buddies rides. So that was that. Also, a little background, I was a four-time regional champion, four-time All-American, three-time national champion, won the Golden Gloves in 2000, then went on to win the WBO, NABO middleweight belt, and the WBC US NBC middleweight belt, ranked number 3 in the world by the WBO, and number 7 by the WBC, which is the green money belt that Floyd Mayweather always talks about. So I was very happy about that. A couple things, just breaking it down, I finished my boxing career with a record of 21-3 with 17 knockouts. It was one of the highest knockout percentages in the middleweight division. And what happened here is I think my boxing background carried into this, what I call COVID insanity nonsense. I have now been fighting this battle on multiple fronts. And what really took place was COVID happened. If everybody remembers this, it's March and we've got 15 days to slow the spread. It's been 7 friggin' months, right? 7 months. And what was the original order? Why was there a 15-day to slow the spread? Does everybody remember this? It was going to be for hospital bed capacity to make sure that our hospital systems didn't get overwhelmed. It never happened, okay? What else never happened? Hundreds of millions of dollars spent on field hospitals that saw how many patients? 0. The U.S. Comfort, the U.S. Emergency retrofitted at record speed by our president. And what did they do? They saw no one. What did Cuomo I don't want to say the word. What did Cuomo do? He shipped patients to nursing homes. Our highest death rates in those cities. Talk about an idiot. Bottom line is this. I got a little upset because all of a sudden, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but it's late at night. I'm watching Fox News, shocking, or One American News, and I see that the president had just stopped travel from China. And I'm going, wait a second, we're in the middle of a trade deal, what is he doing? And so I'm taking a look, and then I start reading about Wuhan virus, I track it down, but I quickly end up on a website with South Korea, and they stopped it in their tracks. And I don't know if anybody's aware of this, but to date, anybody want to throw out a number? How many deaths do you think they have in the entire nation state of South Korea? Throw a number out.
100.
Less than 500. Do you want to know what they used?
Hydrochloroquine,
zinc sulfate, and azithromycin. And if you had a heart condition, they put you on doxycycline. Real brain surgery here, right? So what did I do? I started filing lawsuits. I filed 3 lawsuits against Governor Sisolak in Nevada.
Woo! Gavin Newsom is first. Steve Sisolak is next. You know he's on my list, and you know he's affecting my business in Vegas. I'm going to take him down too.
On the churches. I'm taking him to the Nevada Supreme Court on hydroxychloroquine because I've just had it, to be honest with you. Enough's enough. So here's been the problem though. From someone that is not used to losing, not only in the boxing arena and in the courtroom, I have had my butt whooped on every case. And here's the funny thing, we're well-resourced, we're well-capitalized. I have the very best legal minds on both sides of the aisle. These guys are liberal guys that voted for Obama, writing my briefs, and they said they've never seen such intellectually dishonest decisions. These are the guys, because, you got to use the guys, you got to use the right people. And we couldn't believe it, so we've just been taking a lopping everywhere we've gone. And unfortunately, as we all know, it's because the courts are politicized. They're legislating from the bench. It's absolute insanity. It's ridiculous. And I was actually told by a judge in Reno that my application for a restraining order against the banning of hydroxychloroquine didn't meet the criteria for irreparable harm. Well, I don't know what's no more irreparable harm than death, right? So, again, I'm still scratching my head on that one. What has COVID done? It's ruined families, businesses. We've got our kids stuffed in masks at distance learning. We guys here in Florida, things are getting back to normal. But I'm in one of those blue states out in Nevada where our governor has absolutely lost his mind.
Yep.
There's nothing,
Yep.
there's no common sense or reasoning or anything, science-driven data behind what he's doing other than the fact that he doesn't like the president and he thinks he's hurting Trump by hurting the American people. And it's one of the most cruel, unconscionable things I've ever seen. Straight up.
Absolutely.
And I have no problem calling it out. Unfortunately, the media doesn't want to hear, my side of the story, so they don't come to me very much. But here's the thing I want to discuss. So I took my fight for Nevadans to the courtroom, and also made my office. My staff wants to kill me, but I started doing. I've done over about 1,000 pro bono hours. If that along with my staff, probably more. Representing businesses for free, going against the OSHA thugs that I think that have been, tapped as the goon squad.
Yep.
And I went on a Facebook Live that's now over 60,000 views. I think my office wanted to kill me and said, if you're in a business and you're being hurt, you call me, I will go to bat for you. And so that's what I've been doing. I've been going anywhere I need to go and just pushing back. And so, why my title is the real life experience of a lawyer, fighter, activist, and son fighting COVID is because the bottom line is this. We did some things real quick to adapt. I think all businesses had to do this. And rather than, take a seat at the back of the line or close my office, I called all my staff in the room. I said, guys, this is what I want to do. I want to be a leader. I want to step up. I'm not closing the doors. I'm not going to go hunker down in a basement somewhere. I said, this state and this country needs leadership. And if you guys are okay with working, please come to work. If you're not, work at home. I'll have you set up a work terminal. We call it IT. We could have done that. I have 18 employees. Not one employee left. Not one employee left working. We never went to some ridiculous anything. I never imposed masks. I asked them to use the sanitizer, to wash their hands, and to not put on their mask and touch their face. And to that, we did other things real quickly, virtual consultations, sanitized rooms so people could come in and feel, like they were protected. But bottom line, but it's a virus. Like at the end of the day, does everybody realize this? If anybody flew here on an airplane and you were in a plane for 4 hours or 5 hours with reconditioned air, and the people sitting next to you are taking off their masks because they're eating or drinking, like, have we had enough? You're going to have to be in a spacesuit if you avoid the coronavirus in an airplane. It's absolute insanity, guys. So real quick, I want to say that, then another thing I did is I donated over $10,000. I bought a bunch of these antibody tests, donated them to law enforcement, our healthcare workers, our police and fire. Because they were panicked. You got to remember, when this first hit, we had nothing. There was no testing. There was no nothing. And the governors in the blue states, what do? They inflicted pain. They inflicted, panic. And they're still fear-mongering and getting people all riled up to this day. How are they doing it? With this pie-in-the-sky nonsense about these tests. 90% of these tests are false positive, and even if you test positive, it doesn't even mean you have the coronavirus. All right? So what are they doing? They're saying you're at this 3% or 8% or 10%, so you got to stay locked down. Again, complete insanity. So we had zero COVID exposures inside my law firm. Then I went on Laura Ingraham's show to talk about hydroxychloroquine. Next thing you know, I've got over 150 million unique impressions. My law firm phone seized up for about 2 days. Again, staff wants to kill me. I'm out there, standing up for small businesses. Then we had the protests, right? Everybody remembers this. So we've got protests across the country. You're allowed to get in the streets and scream about defunding the police, defame our police officers, get in their face, not have a mask on, not be social distancing, but you can't go to church. This BLM movement.
Boo!
Word, loot, murder.
Exactly.
No time for this nonsense, guys. At the end of the day, there is truth to that. There are rumblings. I have been asked to run for governor. I am considering it. It's a plan we put together.
Do it! Do it!
It's only because I can understand what President Trump did. He had enough. Enough was enough. At some point in time, let me tell you something. I'm in a great position now in Nevada. I just got a house up in Incline Village, Lake Tahoe. If anybody knows a little bit about Nevada, I've got offices in different places. It's the last thing I need to do. It's the last thing I need to do. But I feel like it's the one thing I must do.
Absolutely. I'll vote for him.
But my message to everybody in here today is just going to be very simple. I have been a formidable force by simply pushing back, not accepting the narrative. And everybody in this room is capable of doing the same thing via your social media, via you just showing up in person. Get to these city council meetings, whether it's a Zoom call or in person. Get to these county commission meetings. Get to these municipality meetings and get in their face the way that they're getting in our police's face and in our government's face and push back. Don't take this BS anymore. Here's one thing that happened. There was this Black Lives Matter rally that happened in Reno in the end of May, and the police chief and the mayor decided that they were going to protect lives and that property is replaceable. So our city hall got smashed and lit on fire. I didn't think that was pretty cool. I said that was going to, so I called our chief of police. Our mayor called me. And so, she wanted to let me know that I still had her number and I could reach out to her anytime. And I said, what are you going to do about this nonsense? I hear they're coming back in 2 weeks. Antifa, the idea Biden talks about, was coming back and actually designated Reno as a soft target. So I gave them an option. I said, you either commit to defending the businesses of this town or I will. And they didn't move. So I dumped about $2,000 into social media, put together a Protect Reno campaign, and the next thing you know, I had 250 patriots. Many of them What I didn't know that was going to happen was, as a criminal defense attorney now, going on 12 years as a criminal defense attorney, I'm walking through the crowd, shaking hands, I realized all the motorcycle clubs showed up. Like President Trump, right? I didn't realize I had on top of about the 200 guys that showed up, I almost had 300 motorcycle club guys behind me. And when I met the president of the Hells Angels, true story, I walked up to him and I said, whoa, what are you guys doing here? He said, you said you needed some backup. I said, wow. And what was funny is the protesters and the motorcycle clubs are arguing back and forth, and I'll never forget the president.
All right, guys, I don't know what to do about it, okay? If you don't get the picture, you don't get the picture. Just listen. I don't have time for this.
Just don't break shit. You're cool with us. Just don't break anything. And it was awesome. You saw, and people got along. But let me tell you this, though. There is such a thing as Antifa. I've seen them. I've met with them. I've watched them. I've seen what they do. And one thing I want to say about these guys is they are not there for any other reason but to cause damage and harm and do nothing else. All right? Anybody thinks any differently, I got some oceanfront property to sell you in Arizona. All right? It's just pure and simple. They're jerks and they're jerk-offs. That's simple, right?
Yep.
No message. They're just there to terrorize people and to cause fear and to destroy things. And they need to be stopped. Law and order needs to be restored. And those people need to be prosecuted and put in jail or prison. Simple as that. So, real quick, because I only got about 5 minutes left, how did I end up in this position? Very simply. I see the thing about China closing. I mean, anybody with a brain, I actually typed in treatment, coronavirus. South Korea, because I was noticing where they were on infections and deaths. Boom, pops up this little thing. What they used, what do you think they did first? They dosed their high-risk community, nursing homes. Those with chronic medical conditions, autoimmune disorders. We know who to protect. We know how to protect them, right? Therapeutics, medicine, everything's there. Why wasn't it distributed throughout the country? Why was hydroxychloroquine banned in these blue states? Why was it done? To inflict death and pain and misery. That's simple. Here's something for you. Country of Nigeria. Does anybody want to have an idea how many deaths they've had there? 42 million people. Take a guess. 13. 13. Why? Because hydroxychloroquine over, I think it was something like 15 billion doses have been given throughout the continent of Africa during the last 40 years. One of the safest drugs, a drug been around by the FDA for 70 years. And here's another little fact, check for you guys. 40 to 60% of all drugs are prescribed off-label. What they have done to us is absolute nonsense and insanity, and it should not be tolerated. And everybody in this room should be getting loud about it, because if you don't think it's going to come back, you're crazy. It's a setup for the next time. I mean, Biden's already talking about stuffing everybody back in their homes, putting our kids back in masks, and shutting down the economy. Well, you won't be able to do it if y'all in this room take an active leadership role.
That's right.
And make this information available to your communities. And I suggest that you do it, because it will save lives.
That's right.
So, real quick, as I said, how I ended up in the fight is my mom and dad both got COVID. My father, the strongest man on the planet, colonel in the Marine Corps, medic through the Navy, but if I don't say Marine Corps, all hell breaks loose. Because once a Marine, always a Marine. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? So I have to say, father in the Marine Corps, strongest guy I know, and when I saw him down and out, I was worried. I was lucky because I had, we've got people, we got a guy. So I had hydroxychloroquine, got the old man on it, 2 hours. Fever went from 103.9 to 98 in 2 hours. He was symptom-free outside of a little fatigue by the next morning. My mother with asthma, 70 years old, she had the face, and they didn't tell you, in Italy we say morte, the face of death. She was white, her lips were a little purple, refusing to go to the hospital. I finally had to say, Mom, take the damn medicine. She took it 6 hours later, symptom-free. Symptom-free. This is all true stuff. So when I saw that, I went nuts, right? I started calling hospitals, I started calling pharmacy boards, I started filing lawsuits because now it was clear to me what was happening. This wasn't by mistake, this wasn't by accident, this was by design.
Exactly.
By design. They were withholding this life-saving medication by design, and there is no more despicable or destructive action that I've ever seen by a government. All right, so we filed some lawsuits, and so the bottom line is, where do we stand now? Well, I'm taking this individual to the Ninth Circuit on the church issue, because I believe we have a different argument than the First Amendment, so we're going to go smack him around there and do our best. And I'm taking him to the Supreme Court of Nevada on hydroxychloroquine. Now, why am I doing that? Because it's capable of repeating itself. It's capable, as what people say, repetition. Does anybody think this COVID nonsense is going to end in a week or two? Because it's not. If you're thinking like that, you better think differently. Because if we don't get in front of this and we don't continue to hammer it, we're going to be dealing with it for the next year. Because this ain't over election night. I believe what they're going to do is Trump's going to win in a landslide on election night. Landslide. Well, what are they doing, guys? They're going to use that as the gauge for how many mail-in ballots they need to use to win, to rig this thing.
Yep.
Right? It's as clear as day. So I want to say this real quick. Now, this is funny because we talked about the field hospitals when I first come here. In my local town in Reno, Nevada, they built out one of the floors of the parking garage to accommodate COVID patients. Guess how many went in there? Zero. Right? So there's no emergency, there's no imminent threat, there is no longer a public safety hazard that requires any of this, and they know it. And if that wasn't true, why is it only the blue state counties now and the blue counties that still have these ridiculous mask mandates? So I want everyone to say this. This is what my speech was on. Was you heard the president come out after Walter Reed say what? Do not let this dominate your lives. Do not let this make you take a backward step anymore. Fight for your kids.
Hi, Kevin.
Fight for their right to get on the field, courts, and mats now. Fight for them to go back to school because their youth will never come back. And I'm going to ask you again to get loud. Whether it's so, I don't mean be disrespectful. I don't mean be impolite. I mean be aggressive in your approach and in your tone and push back. Don't be psychos like these crazy zombies, right? That are out there screaming in your face. But fight them with facts. Because as Vice President Pence said the other night, which was amazing, he said to Kamala Harris, well, Senator Harris, while you're entitled to your own opinion, you're not entitled to your own facts. And the facts of the matter is COVID is over as a pandemic. It's been labeled an outbreak by the WHO. Let's make it an outbreak. Let's keep it where it needs to be kept, in the front center of everyone's mind, and push back. And with that, I just want to say I'll be speaking on a panel about medical tyranny next, which is going to be addressing the sacred doctor-patient relationship, which is what these governors have interrupted. And we're going to keep fighting until we get this country back open 100%.
Amen.